the Gospel of Luke chapter 12, verses 2 to 5, when it is very clearly spelled out that when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on this glorious throne and he will gather all the nations and he will separate, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, he will separate everyone. You can also, of course, remember Matthew 25, chapter 31 to 32. It is the same description of the second coming of Christ. So purgatory is this place, this reality of getting ready for something better, for, a final destiny that we may want to call heaven, and I'll talk about that at the end of today's session. I want to address 3 common objections to this idea of purgatory, to this Catholic doctrine of purgatory. And the first one is a theological objection that is an important one for us to consider. And it goes like this. It can be formulated in different ways, but summarizing it, it basically says this. If Christ died to save us, why would anyone have to go to purgatory? It is a very important and interesting question because it is entirely correct to say that Christ already accomplished our salvation through his passion, death, and resurrection. But that doesn't settle the question of how this redemption is applied to us. So Jesus already came, he died for us, he died for our salvation. But the application of that redemption is what we still have to try to understand. If you remember, Scripture reveals that we receive that redemption over the course of time through, among other things, a process of, we call it sanctification. So we slowly but surely, gradually become holy. Sanctification, of course, involves suffering, as St. Paul said in his letter to the Romans, chapter 5, verses 3 to 5. And we believe by faith that this purgatory is the final stage of sanctification that some of us may need to undergo before we can enter heaven. If I have to put it in simple terms, I don't know about you, my brother, my sister, but I know my history, I know my life. I know that I have not been perfect. I know that I keep trying very hard to love God and love neighbor, but that I keep failing miserably. Sometimes every day, sometimes several times during the day. So I do believe that Christ died for me and that Christ has gained my redemption. But I also know that I need to little by little make